Welcome guys, my name is Pim from Limburg Trading. Today I'm gonna explain how supply and demand zones work and how I learned them and implement them in the charts. So I'm gonna quickly explain to you guys what supply and demand zones are, what is happening and how to use them in your trading. So first thing is I'm going to explain you how a demand zone works. And we can see these in uptrends. And most of the time when price is creating an uptrend, a demand zone is formed around the low of an uptrend. And also here. And after price creating a new high, price also creates a new demand zone right here. And what is happening in these demand zones is, well, price is moving. So when price is going higher, large institutions and banks are placing long orders. So they're all placing these orders. Sometimes price comes back, filling these orders, but not all the time price is entering all these orders. So what's happening, sometimes when price is entering a demand zone like this, price moves very quickly up, leaving behind these long orders that are still needed to be filled. So what price needs to do then is, after creating that high, price comes back, entering the so-called demand zone where we're looking, where these long orders are left behind. These long orders are taken and price is heading back higher. The same thing, let me quickly delete this. Zip. The same thing works with supply zones. When price is creating a downtrend, where we see these supply zones. So price is moving, creating a new low. Price is moving, and all these long orders are placed by these large institutions and banks, and they are not filled here. So price heads lower and leaves these orders behind, and later, where maybe somewhere in a large demand zones, so once price enters this demand zone or some low underneath, price comes back upwards, taking these short orders and heading towards new lows. So this is a basic example of supply and demand zones, how they work technically. And right now I'm gonna show you in price how I draw in these supply and demand zones, and how I spot them, and what exact zone I use and how I fine-tune them. There are a lot of ways how you can draw in the supply and demand zones, and most of them are right. So let me quickly delete all this. So we're looking at the Bitcoin chart, a very simple chart on the weekly time frame. Most of the time when you draw in supply and demand zones, there is nothing wrong with how you draw them in, but I'm gonna explain on the way how I learned it and on how I view the market, the best way to draw in these zones. So I first start with the demand zones. So we look underneath in the chart here. So we have a downtrend here. We're heading lower, and eventually price created that new low. So I marked them with these points. A lower high. Price created a new low. And later price flipped construction bullish. Price created a new high here. And price created a new higher low here, followed by a new high, and the uptrend continues. So once price made this high, we could suspect price to come back lower, creating a new higher low. I'm going to show you how I create these demand zones. And it's actually by the last point of the low is this large dark candle. Most of the time the lowest point of the low, we take that as our demand zone. And also I take the bullish candle one before, right here. So I have the point right here until the low. And I do not take the entire low, but only this low, the first one of the bearish candle. Because after this, price never lost the low here. So if price ever comes underneath this point, I suspect price to head bearish. So you can see price taps first, created a new high, but only absorbed. And once price only absorbs, let me show you, only absorbs the last high, bling, we can suspect price to head towards the last higher low, or enter deeper inside the demand zone underneath. So price entered deeper inside and created a new high. And later, as you can see, price gained the last high. So we follow the uptrend, where we can now draw the same demand zone as we did here before, taking that bearish candle. So we follow these three bearish candles like this, and also the one before, and we can see this is our second demand zone. So we follow price further upwards. We see again price taps the demand zone and wants to go higher. So the price goes higher. The last high is again absorbed. So we can suspect price to enter towards the last higher low that was created, or price to tap deeper inside the demand zone, and eventually price taps deeper, same as right here, and later price went higher upwards, creating a new high and also gaining that structure right here. And for now price ran upwards. Let's see if we can zoom in on the chart and follow that construction. Maybe you can see a funny thing happening right here, is when the weekly time frame is in an uptrend, I always look for one time frame lower, which is followed by the daily time frame, for a construction flip bearish. So I know price is heading lower towards a demand zone, where it later gets filled, that runs back bullish and eventually creates a new high, which is happening here. Price flips bearish, creating that perfect downtrend inside the demand zone that we drawn in, creating a new high. Same thing happens here. Price flips the daily construction bearish. As you can see here, price was still in an uptrend, flip bearish. We wanted to see price hold around the last higher low, but taps deeper inside, flip construction bullish, and we could follow price bullish upwards. So I'm gonna zoom in on the chart right now, where we can maybe follow a bullish construction. So as you can see, price created that new high here. Let me mark it very quickly. This was the last high. Price created that higher low. A new high was created. Another higher low. A new high. And eventually price headed upwards. There was also a higher low right here. And we can see very good. Once price created that higher low and that higher high, we could search for the demand zone. And price created that very beautiful, which was right here. And since this was the higher low, and we looked for those bearish candle of that low, which was right here. There was the bearish candle, and this was the second bearish candle. And we always take that second one, the bullish candle before. We draw that in. And as you can see, after that high was created, price retraced, entered that zone very clean, and headed higher. So some rejection right here, but eventually price created that new high and absorbed the last high right here. So we could suspect a retracement towards the last low, but price went eventually higher. So not always price will do the exact thing what you want, but these are only tools that help most of the time. So if we use all these tools for our trading plan, such as supply and demand zone structure, we can tune down towards a trade plan that is profitable. Also with the right risk management, we can create a very beautiful trade plan. And with this simple supply and demand zone confirmation, you can actually create a very good strategy and follow the construction and the trend perfectly.
Hello trader, my brother and I want to reward you since you have come this far. We believe that everyone can trade. With the right mindset and discipline, you will succeed in trading. But this can take a very long time. So we invented this Discord and trading course to help you achieve this very quick.
We want to offer you some tools and mentoring to help you in your trading journey. The Discord is completely free. We share more in-depth videos, technical analysis, step-by-step trading plans, one-on-one mentoring, personal notion, and many more, all for free. Make sure to join. The Discord link is down below. Let's quickly find some supply zones. I can show an example right here. So price created at high. So the demand zone was right here. Taking that, these two bearish candles and the bullish one. So right there. So price front ran, absorbed again, and later blasted right through. We couldn't enter a trade right here. There was probably no confirmation where we could enter that long. So price headed lower and eventually created that new low. So what we can do right now is use this area as our supply zone. So we have this large bearish run downwards, and since price only absorbed this, I'm do not taking this with my supply zone. So I only take the high that was created, that never got gained again, which was right here. We take that last bearish candle and we draw it all the way towards that bullish high right there. As you can see, we have a very large box, which can make it very difficult to search for a short trade. So we, in this entire box, once we look for a 1 hour construction flip, you can short towards new lows. And most of the time when I have a large supply zone like this, I prefer to mitigate it, and that is to take 50% of the box. So I wait for price to head towards the mitigation and then head lower, or wait for price to enter the supply zone underneath and then reject. These are the two areas where price will reject the most. Which also happens a lot is when price comes above the mitigation. So we first see a price rejection, but price held the mitigation and heads higher. Most of the time price is bullish and will continue that uptrend and eventually create that new high. But here price rejected. So this is a 4 hour supply zone. So we look for price to short on a 1 hour supply zone. So we look for price to flip on the 1 hour construction. I will not go into details in this video, but I will explain in the other video what I use for confirmation before entering a short or long trade. So we can see price rejected that supply zone and created that new low, which was right here. So price created that new low, absorbed a bit, but never flipped construction. So one thing I use for the supply zone is I look for the last high that was created. We had that last higher low, was followed by a higher high, and price created that new lower low, followed by a lower high and a new lower low, lower high, lower low. So we have that downtrend right here. And the supply zone, how I draw them in is I look for the bullish run upwards and that dark bearish candle. So, and as you can see right here, we have that bullish up candle, which got later absorbed. So this area from here is not the valid supply zone, as you can see, because price only absorbed it. If price gained this, this would have been the valid supply zone, but price never gained that area. So we look for this bearish candle towards that last bullish candle right here for our supply zone. So we can enter it right there. And we can also fine tune this, but I will explain that in a other video where I fine tune the supply and demand zones. So I can go deeper this theory of supply and demand zones, because there's much more to tell inside these zones, but this is a very basic way of explaining. So as you can see, we have the zone right here, and we look closer. Eventually price tapped it perfectly and headed lower, and we can do the same thing again. So we follow price, created that new low, created that lower high, and once it created that low, we could look for that supply zone. So we take that last bearish candle towards that high right there and draw that in as our supply zone right there. So as you can see, price created that new low, but what happened here, bearish downtrend, was broken by this one bullish candle. So this zone got invalid after price created that new low. So we could still suspect price to enter and head deeper, but since price created the bullish candle, and headed lower and later closed, we could look for shorts inside this supply zone. But as you can see, price rejected first, but later jumped upwards and eventually flipping construction bullish. So we could already know after this construction flip here that price wanted to head higher. And as you can see, after price gained above the supply zone right there, let me show you again, after price gained here, we could already draw in the demand zone where we could look for these long trades. So we had that bearish downtrend, so we draw it in from that last bullish candle all the way towards the low. And as you can see, after the gain we had enough time to enter that long trade somewhere in there and follow price higher upwards. So we just follow trend for now. So I'll show you some more examples of demand zones. So price carried that high, came back lower, never tapped our demand zone underneath right here. So we draw it in like this. Never came back, created a new high, which was gained. As you can see right here, price gained like that. And as you can see, price never came back and created a new high again. So this demand zone is invalid right now. So we cannot look for longs in this demand zone. But we need to look for new long trades inside this demand zone, which was created. So price entered the demand zone and headed higher. And again, we can draw in a new demand zone from this bearish trend downwards. So we take that last bullish candle towards the bearish, and price headed higher. So we saw price first tapping around the high, rejected, headed lower, and is now coming back upwards. So we can suspect a new high here. So these are supply and demand zones. How I use them during my technical analysis. I do have to say this is a very basic way of drawing them in. As you can see, they are exact the same and are large of size. Most of the time I fine tune them down towards one time frame lower. So we are now on the 4-hour time frame. So these are all 4-hour supply zones. But I can fine tune them down. Even this 4-hour supply zone, I can fine tune it down towards a 1 hour. But I will not go in depth in this video. I will do it in a future video. So I hope this all makes it clear. Very basic and simple way of using these supply and demand zones. Literally use this on any time frame. I prefer starting with the weekly. I don't think the monthly time frame is not that interested. The larger the time frame, the larger these supply and demand zones are. And I always prefer them to mitigate them once these are weekly or monthly supply and demand zones. So I hope this makes everything clear right now. Leave a like down below. Drop a comment if you want. Subscribe and join the Discord. The Discord link is also in the description. And see you guys in the next video.